Welcome to episode 2 of Between the Goalposts. I'm Nate Hampton. This is Jesse Krieger. This week we're going to be coming at you with the TO advice to Deshaun Jackson, the shocking David Goalpost cut by the Jaguars, and various players that the Patriots have cut. And we're going to see if Bill Belichick's all here or if he's elsewhere. Then we're going to do the Week 1 picks of 4 notable games this week. And now we're going to get into T.O.'s advice to Deshaun Jackson. So, the other day, T.O. came on the radio and said that if he was Deshaun, he wouldn't have gone to camp. He'd still be holding out. He wouldn't go to the game because he thinks if Deshaun gets hurt, he's not going to get paid ever again or get that money that he wants. What do you have to say about that?
Well, as a former Eagles receiver, T.O. is banking on what Deshaun Jackson is banking on, that his absence will mean more than Michael Vick's absence. That his absence will mean that the field becomes condensed, Michael Vick's windows of throwing will be much smaller, his just will get much harder, and it'll force the Eagles to pay him. Deshaun obviously doesn't feel this way anymore because he showed up to camp and he, as far as we know, is going to be showing up to the game on Sunday. But T.O. is saying that he would have had leverage over the Eagles to get a new deal had he not showed up because his absence would have proved just how valuable he really is to the team.
Do you think the fact that he's gotten his bell rung the last few years, got a couple concussions, has anything to do with this?
Yeah, between that and his size in general being so light at about 160 pounds, that's why he fell in the second round of the draft in the first place. I mean, his main trait, his tool, is his speed. And he's about 24, 25 years old now. He's under contract for 2 more years. So if you're the GM, why not pay him $500,000, whatever he's making for the next 2 years, as long as he'll show up. You get his best speed years out of him, and then when he's 27, 28 years old, go ahead and release him, because his best days are probably behind him then. It's ruthless, but that's the NFL.
Business is business, right?
So now, the shocking news yesterday was David Garrard being cut by the Jaguars, their starter for the last 4 years. He was slated to make about $8 million this year, but they drafted the rookie Blaine Gabbert at number 10 overall in this year's draft. So, was this a football move, or was this a money move?
I'd go about 60-40 towards it being a money move. I mean, they're saving about $8 million against the cap. And over the past couple of years, he's always been a good game manager, but whatever spark that he had that would lead them to the playoffs is clearly not there anymore. And why pay a guy that you don't have true faith in that much money when you have a draft pick sitting behind him?
And Jack Del Rio said to the press that he didn't quite find his rhythm in the preseason yet. But do you think it was his decision? Because he's on the hot seat as a head coach, so he would want his best possible quarterback. He can't really believe that Blaine Gabbert or Luke McCown is better chance to win now than David Garrard.
No, I wouldn't trust either of them to lead me to the playoffs this year. I think the Jaguars are doing kind of a Carolina Panthers last year. I think they're banking on getting a new coach and getting rid of Del Rio.
Throwing him under the bus, basically.
Under the bus. Sandbagging the man.
Could they be looking at John Gruden or Bill Cowher as a coaching candidate for next year?
Well, that's always a possibility. Like, if you ever watch them, they still want a coach, but I think the right offer would have to do. I don't think the Jaguars would sway either of them. Now we have the Patriots cuts. We have Brandon Merriweather, Brandon Tate, Darius Butler, and Sammy Morris. Do you think Bill Belichick is losing it, or what do you think the reasoning behind all this is?
These were all talented players, and we've come to trust Belichick's moves, however crazy as they might seem, because of the 3 rings that he has on his fingers. But it's been since 2007 that they've even won a playoff game. So a lot of the faces have changed since they were actually a true winning organization, especially on defense. And the past few years, their defense has looked less than stellar. So I expect that to continue.
Yeah, they've always been very bend, don't break. And I think
now they're just going to break.
They're just going to shatter into a million pieces. And I'm not really sold on Patrick Chung. I haven't really seen a whole lot out of him.
No, yeah, he's made more plays on special teams than actually on defense. And he's not a true free safety, but he's not really much of a hitter either. He's just one of those kind of, I think Belichick sees him as a coach on the field, but that doesn't really translate to big plays.
Now we have our Week 1 notable game picks. Starting with the Monday Nighter, we have Oakland at Denver. I think the Broncos are just a better team. They have a better pass rush, more retooled defense, and they think they're going to give Jason Campbell a hell of a day.
Yeah, I would love to disagree with you right here, but I agree that the Broncos are just a better team. The Raiders look terrible to me. I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the league. The Broncos have 2 big additions in Von Miller and Elvis Dumerville as pass rushers, and Campbell will be under fire all day. Their receivers don't look impressive. Yeah, I think the Broncos are going to win it easily.
All right, and then we got New Orleans at Green Bay for the Thursday night opener. I have Green Bay winning because I just think they're their team with all the healthy returns, and I think they're going to eke it out. This will be a high-scoring affair.
Yeah, I think both teams are going to try and come out and run the ball to start out with, but it's not going to work on either side because both teams' front sevens are just too good for that. So I think it's going to be a contest to see who figures out that they need to open it up and start passing first. And I think Drew Brees will actually figure it out first, and he'll get him out to an early lead, and then it'll just be a shootout from there. I see something like 40-30 with the Saints coming out on top.
It's a good fantasy football game for a bunch of
Definitely.
fantasy football players out there. All right, then we have Dallas at the Jets, and I think that the Jets are just going to win this one because of all the injuries in the back end of the Dallas Cowboys defense. I think that Santonio Holmes and Plaxico Burress are going to have a really big day.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be close before those injuries, but with Terrence Newman being out and Mike Jenkins probably being out, and Tyron Smith, their first-round tackle, being out, I think the Jets will easily win this. They're hungry. They're perpetually hungry, and I think it's the anniversary of 9/11. I think they're going to play with a lot of heart.
All right. Then we have Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I think Baltimore's finally going to beat the Steelers. I think it's going to be a little redemption game for Joe Flacco and the Ravens. I think they're just going to come out with a little bit more heart this time around, and I think they're finally going to beat them.
Yeah, we keep hoping for a redemption game from the Ravens, but we haven't seen it yet, and I don't think we're going to see it week one. I don't think Joe Flacco is quite yet. These games are always really close. It really requires a lot of focus, a lot of attention to detail. I think the Steelers are further along that road. I don't think the Ravens receivers are ready to step up yet, and the Steelers always seem to win on one crazy play, and I see that happening again. Really close, low-scoring affair.
All right.
So now let's talk some fantasy football. So week one breakout performer. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Dallas Clark. I believe that the Texans are going to be bringing a lot of heat on Kerry Collins in the offense. They're going to be doing a lot of blitzes, and he's only going to have enough time to get the ball to Dallas Clark and, get him a bunch of catches. In PPR leagues, he's going to kill it.
Points per catch.
Points per catch.
Yeah, I have Sean Green against the Cowboys. I think with all the losses on the back end of their D, they'll have to help out their corners more in coverage of Santonio and Plaxico, and that'll limit their ability to stack the box against Sean Green. And I think he's really motivated from a down for last year, LT taking his job. So I think he's going to come out with about 150 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to kill it.
Yeah, he's got LT nipping at his heels as usual.
Yeah, got to hold him off.
Mm-hmm. That's all we have for you this week on Between the Goalposts. We're going to keep tabs of all of our games for the entire season, tally them up at the end, see who wins. And that's all we have for you. Deuces.